To call the meeting to order. Welcome everybody to our June meeting of the Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention Commissions. And we do have translation available. Is it set up, Johanna, ready to go? We should have translation available on Zoom if there are any, for Spanish, if there's anybody that wants it.
Yes, we do. I'm setting her up right now.
Okay, so Commissioner Rasmus is getting that set up right now, and if anyone has any trouble accessing it who wants it, please raise your hand and let us know. So let's have a roll call. Commissioner Liu, I'll do the honors while you have Oreos in your mouth. Is Commissioner Ginevra?
Present.
Did I say your last name?
You did.
Okay.
Perfect.
Good. Commissioner Rasmussen.
Here.
Commissioner Swope.
Here.
I'm Commissioner LaBouisse. I'm present. Commissioner Liu.
I'm here.
All right, so that's 5 of us, and
Also in the building.
noted. Oh, great. Noted that Commissioners Huber Levy and Wilson are on Zoom. So hello, but not able to vote in the meeting. So we don't have a quorum quite yet until Commissioner Bocanegra walks through the door.
Commissioner Norrie's on Zoom.
And Commissioner Norrie is also calling in from the air. Thank you, Commissioner Satvik Norrie, but we don't have Commissioner Amaya Norrie yet. And I think that covers it. I think that's a good time to note, this is a little bit out of order on the agenda, but I just wanted to note that Commissioner Apollonia Mamadi Uhila has been on the commission until recently, although she hasn't been able to attend in person. And we did get word in the last month that she has officially sent us her resignation. So that opens up a spot on the commission. And in addition to that, Commissioner Alan Bustos is I think going into the next school year, and also getting a new job, some new employment. So basically not going to have very much time, and he decided that he would also resign from the commission. So we do have received resignations from Commissioners Bustos and Uhila in the last month, and that's why on our agenda document they're not in the left navigation, or not nav, the left side of the page.
The masthead.
Yeah, the masthead. Thank you. I don't know what that's called on paper anymore. I just know what it's called on a website. We can't vote to approve the minutes yet or to approve the agenda, right? But we could get a membership update, 1H on the agenda from Commissioner Huber Levy, since that I think is just informational. Commissioner Huber Levy?
Sure. I don't have too much to say because the big reveal is the 2 recommendations that I will wait until we have quorum to make. But with the recent resignations of Commissioners Uhila and Bustos and current pending appointments of prospective commissioners Agrawal and Singh, we'll still have 2 open positions on the commission. We have received 1 additional application this month, completed application, and we have several potential candidates attending meetings and indicating that they will be applying. So the membership committee will continue with interviews over the next month, maybe 2 months, and then return to the commission with further recommendations. And please keep making your outreach and your good referrals. Those are really excellent, and a great source of new and passionate commissioners for us.
Right. Thanks, Commissioner Huber Levy.
You're welcome.
Did any of the commissioners present have any questions about that? Okay, so until we can establish a quorum and circle back on a few of those items under preliminary business, why don't we move on to section 2 of the agenda and ask if there's anything that members of the public wanted to make public comment on with regard to items that are not already on the agenda. We will also pause for public comment on items on the agenda. Are there any members of the public that would like to make public comment? And if I don't see your hand raised, it might be because of the screen. You don't see any hands?
It should be, they should be moved to the top left.
Yeah, the top left has got those buttons. that
You've got
sometimes are
one.
very hard to see.
I'm gonna ask,
Raised. You do have one?
yes, I'm gonna ask, okay. Becky, you're unmuted?
Yes,
Ms. Keeler, go ahead.
yes, thank you. Good to see you all. I'd hoped to be there in person today, but didn't quite happen. So I was in the Board of Supervisors listening to the probation report this morning. I don't know whether that's going to get commented on, but it was really interesting. And I'd just like to say, you know that In Our Care was founded to support the work that you're doing at the JJDBC. And we'd really like some feedback from you. We know how we're thinking we can support you. We'd like some feedback from you on how you think we can support you. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'll say that you're always welcome to email us or me or the commission website, sorry, the commission email. We can set up a meeting and talk about it offline as well. Is there anyone else who is a member of the public who wants to make public comment? Or as Nancy has just done, members of the public are also welcome to introduce yourself in the chat. Okay, not hearing any other anyone else interested in making public comment. Why don't we move on to section 3 of our agenda and get some informational updates from our partners in the county. And starting with Judge Etizadi, who is joining us this month. Welcome, Your Honor.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I hope everybody is well. I see that Paul just came in.
We have a quorum.
Hey, Paul.
Yes.
It's so nice to see everybody. Well, we do have something to just share with everybody. We're going to have a little bit of a change in juvenile. Judge Cadet is going to be going to go to family law effective July 3rd. And Judge Sharon Cho will be the new juvenile court judge effective July 3rd. So I just wanted to share that. So we're going to have a new swap of judges coming up on July 3rd. Otherwise, I think the count today in the hall, and maybe probation can comment on this, when I read was 19, so our numbers have dropped. And otherwise, that's all I have to report. So any questions about that?
No, it's nice to have you back, Your Honor.
Yes.
Well, thank you. Thank you. It's my pleasure to be back. It's nice to see everyone. Hi, Susan. Susan Swope. Susan's been on the commission a long time. Which is great.
I'd like to say thank you to Cadet for her service to our youth and to our county, and to welcome our new judge, right? We're familiar with her and the work she's done. She's always been extremely supportive of the programs that we have recommended, and has always been willing to work with us. So that's going to be a great addition, but we will miss Judge Cadet though, for sure.
Thank you for your kind words, Paul. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Judge Chow is a great appointment for the juvenile court, I think.
Thank you, Susan. Thank you. Yeah, I think she's wonderful, and I think she will do an outstanding job.
Great. Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And I can't quite see who all the participants, but do we have Ms. Clark on?
We do.
Okay, great. Ms. Clark, if you're there, we'd love to hear your update. Why don't we finish the updates that we have here, and then we'll circle back to the items in section 1 that need votes. So Ms. Clark, go ahead.
Hi, good evening, everybody. I apologize, I'm not gonna be able to stay for the whole meeting. I'm away at training. But I did want to call in. For probation, we do have our new director. She will probably start joining next month, and that's Miss Sanam Aram. She's the new superintendent of the juvenile hall and camps. I'll still be involved with compliance. For juvenile services, we have 153 youth that are on formal probation, 123 on an informal, 19 diversion. We still continue to have 0 in placement. 1 that's receiving AB 12 services. And we had our 1 DJJ returnee who is currently on EMP in the community. We have 18 total that are on electronic monitoring. We did have 1 release, so we now are at 18 for institutions at the YSC, and then 3 that are all our county at Camp.
Mhm.
And that's all I had, unless you guys had any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Clark.
Ms. Clark, I have a question. It sounds like those overall numbers, not just in detention, but on probation in the community or in the assessment process, those overall numbers sound lower to me than we have had in previous months. And I see Ms. Hahn is on as well, and maybe she has a comment on this as well. But my sort of usual question is, do you have is there any explanation of why? Do you see any trends, that would explain the change?
Not that I really see any trends. I think we've terminated more cases. I think we still have the same numbers kind of coming in. Last week, probably this time our numbers were at 27 in the hall. So I think, the judges and Nadia and Ron work hard to get the kids released. We have a number of youth that come in from out of county. And so, they're getting sent back to their home counties and things like that.
Right. I actually read a news story this past week that said that there was an incident at Hillsdale Mall, and a youth from Hercules was brought to the YSC, but not even brought in. So sent back to his parents, I guess, in Hercules. So that's an example of not even taking youth in.
Yeah, and that hasn't changed. I think, what we've talked about it in prior meetings, we still continue to really scrutinize who we bring into custody, which is, we just kept on even from COVID. We haven't changed that, just really looking at who we're booking in and bringing into custody.
Right. I have one other question. I know Chief Keen usually notes that the sort of median length of stay, I think is the way he puts it, is somewhere around, around single digits in days, right? Like most kids are, most youth at the YSC are only there for a short period of time. So I don't know if you can talk about this, but I'm just curious, like, what is the number of current residents of juvenile hall that are even there for longer than 6 months, or are going to be there for longer than 6 months or a year?
That number I don't have off the top of my head. I think it's just case by case. So it's really hard to say. It's all dependent on, charges, and it could be, again, when we talk about getting youth that are out of county, and then being sent back to their home county, they might not be here as long. So it just, there was a whole bunch of variables to that.
Right. But it seems to be like a handful, right, that are there for a long period of time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do have a question, Ms. Clark, and I apologize. Good evening, and thank you for making it today. Can you tell me what the cultural makeup is of the 18 youth that are currently at the YSC?
You know what, Paul? I don't have that in front of me. Normally I do,
I know.
but I really wanted to just call in. I didn't want to not have probation present at this meeting, so I don't have the normal stats and information that I have. So I can follow up with you.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. And again, we appreciate you showing up even though you're at training right now. So appreciate that, Ms. Clark.
No problem.
Thanks, Paul. I also had a few questions, but I first wanted to make sure Ms. Han from the DA's office didn't have anything to add to Monroe's earlier question.
No, I don't. I was I just didn't want to leave you hanging, but I would be guessing if I tried to speculate about, you know, kind of what drives the population levels and whether there's, and I don't know that we can say at this point that this is like a permanent downturn because it does fluctuate so much over the course of the month. Basically, no, I don't have anything that I can really add that would give you any real information.
Yeah, and I think that's fair for the juvenile court system in general, because it's hard to sort of speculate in the middle of a month like this. But back to Jehan, I did have a question about the DJJ returnee. As you know, DJJ is closing like this week. So can I ask why this youth returned right now, and if we can expect more youth to return from DJJ?
Well, no, we only had one youth from our county that was at DJJ. And so with the closing, they would either come back to the home county and come into custody, or they would go back and re-enter into the community. So
Yeah,
this particular.
I believe this one youth didn't just come back, but has been back, right?
Yeah, and you know that's a great. I have a follow-up question when you're done.
I'm done.
Oh, perfect. Thank you. Yeah, a question following that right there, Ms. Clark. When I was in DJJ, it was CYA then, a lot of my friends used to go to the Board of Parole hearings to try to go home sooner. Do you know if that's something that we're gonna have, or has that changed, you know, with all the new legislation that has come down from the Capitol?
With the new legislation, a big thing that has changed is that there are more frequent court reviews. So for those that we have in custody that are under our SYTF, our Secure Youth Treatment Facility, our SOAR program, they do have more frequent court reviews where there is an ability to get released, as you know, as long as we're reviewing their plan and they can get released sooner.
Got it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, if there aren't any other questions for Ms. Clark, we'll keep moving along.
Thank you, Ms. Clark.
Yeah,
Thank you, Ms. Clark.
Have a good night.
Yeah, thank you. I had put Director John Fong from Children and Family Services on the agenda, but that was before I actually got confirmation whether he would be able to attend or not. So I don't know if he's on. Can you see if he's on? Commissioner Rasmussen?
Let's see.
Might not be. Okay.
Yeah, I don't see him. I see two numbers, phone numbers, but I do not see.
Okay, that's fine. And Ms. Hahn, I didn't put you on the agenda, but you know, since we have noted your presence, if there's anything else, if there are any other updates from the DA's office that you wanted to provide, we'd love to hear it.
I don't have any updates.
Okay.
He gave a great presentation today at the budget hearing though, so let Mr. Wagstaff know.
All right, let's circle back then to section 1 of the agenda now that we have a quorum and we can vote on a few things. So the first thing that we need to do is to approve the minutes from the May meeting. The minutes are in the agenda packet. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion to approve minutes.
You, Commissioner Bokenhager, is there a second?
Second.
Great. Is there any discussion about the minutes? Any questions or edits or comments?
I have a comment. I think that there are some revisions that are needed to ensure that the minutes are a complete and correct reflection of the actions at the last meeting. So I would propose that we, instead of taking the time at the meeting to go through specific revisions here, that we take the time to make those revisions and then bring back the minutes for approval at the next meeting.
I agree.
Okay, so I think technically you're making a motion to help me out here, Susan. Where are we going to?
We need to take a vote on the motion on the floor.
Okay,
Unless Paul wants to withdraw his motion.
Yeah, I will gladly withdraw that motion.
okay, great. Thank you, Paul. And so I guess Commissioner Huber-Levy can't make a motion because she is not present. So Commissioner Swope, do you want to make that motion to?
I move that we defer approval of the minutes until the next meeting.
I second.
Paul seconds. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Or abstentions? No. Okay, great. So we will, we'll take a second look at those minutes and bring them back to the next meeting. The sort of next thing is we do need to formally approve our agenda. So are there any objections from commissioners present to the agenda as we have distributed it?
I move approval of the agenda.
I second.
All seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, great. We will stick to the agenda that we have. We already noted the resignations of commissioners. So with that, we have two new candidacies that we wanted to vote on. So Commissioner Huber-Levy, do you, yes, Commissioner Huber-Levy, sorry, I got it mixed up. The Vice Chair of Membership.
Yes.
You want to introduce our candidates?
Yes, that would be my pleasure. So good evening. As your Vice Chair membership this year, I have the pleasure of introducing our two candidates who have both been interviewed by the membership committee and who the membership committee now recommends to the commission for a vote this evening. Our first candidate, Zahara Agarwal, and I hope I'm pronouncing your name properly. I think it's Zahara. It's Zahara. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm gonna get it right from here on in. I vow.
No, you're totally good.
I get Karen and Karin too, if it's any consolation.
Yeah.
And I'm happy with both. Zahara grew up in San Mateo County, is currently a junior at Menlo Atherton High School, and she lives in the Vintage Oaks neighborhood of Menlo Park. Many of you already know Zahara. She's been attending JJDPC meetings since last September as the liaison from the San Mateo County Youth Commission. She's also worked as a volunteer on our Pierpoint Youth Restorative Justice Space Diversion Project and is on the executive board of Pierpoint. Currently, Zahara is also chair of the Youth Commission Civic Engagement Committee, a member of Congresswoman Anna Eschew's Student Advisory Board. Needless to say, Zahara has an impressive volunteer resume, including, among other interesting volunteer roles, helping Judge Susan Briel of the San Francisco City and County Superior Court vet applicants to the civil grand jury, which I think is fascinating. Currently, Zahara is working on a project to launch a website accessible to youth in detention to connect them with services and programs post-release. And she gave us a lovely presentation on that at the last meeting, which we really appreciated and are very supportive of. Zahara impressed our membership committee with her desire to increase restorative justice practices in county schools. Her personal commitment to effecting change through student advocacy and representation, and her ideas for future projects. So on the unanimous recommendation of the membership committee, it's my pleasure to move that the commission approve Zahara Agarwal's appointment to the JJDPC of San Mateo County. We don't need a second, as this is a committee recommendation, so we can move to a vote.
Great. Thank you, Commissioner Hubie. Did anyone else have any questions or comments or?
I have one comment.
Yes.
I love that you are a parliamentarian.
Oh, yeah.
I have a crony now.
Yeah. It's funny though, because my school's site council, which is what I'm parliamentarian for, uses Robert's Rules of Order as needed. So I don't, like, I know all the rules and I don't actually have to do much because they just kind of do their own thing and their own rules. But yeah.
Well, you might need to use them more here. Because we, as Commissioner Swope knows, we need help.
And we lean heavy on dissent.
Anyone else? All right, let's.
No, sorry,
I see
Kate has a comment.
Oh,
Kate Heister has a comment.
Hi.
hi, Kate. Please go ahead.
Just wanted to also have a ringing endorsement of Zahara, who's been a great help to PeerPoint. So just wanted to add my appreciation and support of her candidacy.
Thank you, Kate. Melissa, were you just noting that Kate wanted to say something? Yes. Okay, gotcha. All right, commissioners in the room, all in favor of Zahara Agarwal's candidacy for commissioner on the Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention Commissions, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed or abstaining? No, it's unanimous. We will recommend you to the judge and the board of supervisors.
You're very impressive.
Thank you, Zahara. Okay. Commissioner Hubie-Levy.
Yes.
Second candidate.
Yes. So our second candidate is Ruth Singh, who is a longtime resident of San Mateo County and currently resides in San Bruno. Ruth has been volunteering with the commission for during this year and is interested in applying her firsthand lived experience of the challenges within the juvenile justice system to effect positive change for youth in detention in our county. Ruth has many years of professional career experience in process improvement and program management. She values working cross-functionally and has learned in her years of experience that relationship building is a key factor in effecting change. The membership committee was impressed with Ruth's sensitivity and compassion and her commitment to work to effect change with evidence and data and robust processes, and an emphasis on maintaining effective communication with partners to overcome resistance to change. The membership committee was unanimous in its decision to recommend Ruth for appointment to the commission. So once again, it is my pleasure to move that the commission approve Ruth Singh's appointment to the JJDPC of San Mateo County. We don't need a second.
Thank you, Commissioner Hubie-Levy. Did any other commissioners want to comment or ask questions?
Yeah, I have a question. Did I hear lived experience in incarcerated?
Child.
I have a child.
You have a child that's
Yes,
incarcerated?
that was, yes.
Yes.
She's in probation right now, and she will be soon out of probation.
Great.
She's in camp.
And it's wonderful to have someone from San Bruno, my hometown. So, Northern county, so that's wonderful.
You know, just seeing what my daughter went through and then what I experienced as a parent. So
Was that a negative experience that she experienced?
Mixed.
There was both, you know, there was some positive, and then I found that in dealing with that community, the system, there was room for improvements.
Right. All right, thank you for being here. And if there aren't any other comments, or do I see, Melissa, did you raise your hand?
Yep.
Okay, please.
I'm okay, you can hear me. I've been working with Ruth the last year, and I just want to say how much I appreciate and admire people who have personal experience with our justice system. It's so valuable. And so thank you, Ruth, for now and going forward, and also to Paul and Johanna, because they also bring a lot of authenticity, obviously, to the work. And so we all benefit from them so much. And so I just really admire all three of you for being engaged in the work.
Thank you, Commissioner
Thank
Wilson.
you.
All right, all in favor of recommending Ms. Singh's candidacy for Commissioner on the Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention Commissions, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Any abstentions? All right, unanimously approved. And we will also be recommending you to the judge and board of supervisors. So we'll keep you posted. Congratulations to both of you. I think that covers everything in section 1 of the agenda that we needed to hold off on. So we will, and we have already covered sections 2 and 3. So now moving on to section 4, we are trying to have regular presentations from community organizations and other organizations. And of note, hopefully next month, we will have a representative from the state's OYCR here to present to us. We had them scheduled for this month, but something came up. So timely that Commissioners Rasmussen and Bocanegra had some new news that they wanted to tell us about. So I'll turn it over to them.
Okay, so I'm going to try and share my screen. And let's see.
Great.
Okay. All right, so I am the community liaison for Paul's nonprofit. And we found that, as many of you know, Samtrans discontinued service to the YSC. And several of us started working on, can we get that service back? What can we do? You know, there's a lot that goes on at that building. Not just juvenile delinquency court, but dependency court. We've got camp there. We've got traffic court. We've got a lot of stuff going on up there. Well, the answer that we got back from Samtrans was, no, it's not feasible to bring it back. And some of the kids that Paul and I work with, they were having difficulty getting up to the hall. They have parents who don't have driver's licenses. They may not have a car that's operable. So we started investigating other alternatives. And so I'm extremely pleased to announce that we received a $10,000 grant from the Board of Supervisors to start our own transportation program up to the YSC. And so I'll explain the first part, the first 5,000, basically 250 rides. And here's how it'll work. We will provide transportation up to the Youth Service Center, Camp Kemp, the Community Care Program, court-ordered programs and services, if there's a meeting with probation, if the family has to get up because there's something wrong with EMP equipment, if there's a family therapy appointment, if there's a meeting that needs to take place with the private public defender, or if a parent needs to attend an IEP meeting. Referrals for this transportation will be made by the juvenile court, private defender program, probation. A parent or guardian can call and say, I don't have a way to get my child there. Can you arrange for transportation? BHRS, the school, county office of ed, a medical service provider, the police department, the district attorney, and this commission as well. So how it'll work is I will get a call and from a referral. They'll say, I've been referred by this agency, and then I will arrange a ride through Uber or Lyft, or if it's in a situation where they can get part of the way there. Let's say that there's a court-ordered program, but it's in the center of town. It's not up by, Youth Service Center, but they still need a way to get there. We'll even cover like the last mile services with the bird. So we have 250 rides. And so with all of our system partners that are here, please know that now we received the grant. It was approved just this month. And so this is a service that I want to offer to as many families as possible, because I know community care is an issue on weekends. A lot of our parents, they work 2 and 3 jobs. And so now we've got a solution. Everyone should be able to get to community care. So I'm hoping to be able to give another present. Whoever wants a presentation, please let me know. I'm happy to provide that information. The other $5,000 that we were given.
Joanna,
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Can I ask a question
Yes.
about that before you
Yes,
move on to the?
sure,
to the
sorry,
second?
go ahead.
So just to clarify, the board of supervisors provided the money already. And you are expecting to get referrals from all these agencies, and Re-Evolution is meeting with them to let them know to reach out to
Yeah,
you?
this is the first like broad announcement. I did mention to Miss Tammy Devine in court like 2 weeks ago that this was coming, so she was aware of it. She's the court officer. She's the one who hears, if there might be an issue. And so this was the first opportunity to announce to our system partners, and any other meeting that, if anyone wants to invite us to, I'm happy to go.
I'll definitely get in touch because I think CASA would be a good organization to let know. And I can help with that. I'm a peer supervisor there. I know of cases where we have parents that don't have transportation. They don't have a car in some cases.
Right.
And so I think if CASA knew about that and could help parents get to court hearings, that would be great.
Perfect. So please help spread the word, because this really was a need. And I think this is an example of how this commission can really be effective. Like there's a gap and we can fill it. And it didn't take a lot of time. And the Board of Supervisors was really receptive. So if we utilize these 250 rides, then chances are we'll be able to continue this going forward.
I have one other question.
Yes.
Maybe to take a step back, you said you were community liaison for Re-Evolution. Paul, could you let everyone know about Re-Evolution?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Re-Evolution is a nonprofit that I co-founded to focus on prevention here in San Mateo County. The main office is in LA, and we have several contracts with CDCR where we work with youth who have now matured in the institutions and are reintegrating back into the community. So our contracts are focused on the youth that are coming home now. And my mission here by co-founding Re-Evolution in San Mateo was to be able to work in the prevention field. I lost my life to the criminal justice system. I lost 25 and a half years of my life to the criminal justice system. And I really wish that I had someone like myself in the courtrooms, communicating with parents, mentoring youth in and out in the community, because I probably would have never ended up in the situation that I did. And my parents would not have suffered the way they did with confusion, not speaking the language, and not understanding the legal system, as well as not having the means to provide a defense for my mother's only son. So I co-founded this to work on prevention, and in doing the work here, a lot of volunteer work, like much of the things that, much of the services that I provide, as well as Joanna provide, have been really voluntarily. We're barely making it. We have a grant with CZI that's about to end. They were the first foundation to fund us, and now the Pincus Family Foundation is funding us. And I have contracts now with the school districts now. I'm working at San Bruno, Parkside Junior High. I have an MOU, and I'm in talks with Peninsula High School. This came from the wraparound services of working with our youth in their community as well as their collaterals. And in doing this work, we discovered that in some cases, there's one person, an 18-year-old, that is the driver for the whole entire household. Like the whole family depends on this one 18-year-old to be able to drive his younger brother to court with the family, take the mother to go visit, take his brother to go provide a urine sample. And these are the struggles that they were encountering, also not being able to make their community service program. So Joanna and I were always scrambling to try to fill these voids. And many times, we had to come out of pocket for this. And so the Board of Supervisors actually hung out with us for a weekend and got to see some of the work that we do, some of the intimate work that we do, not only with community youth that are incarcerated, but also in the community. And they saw a need for this. And again, this is an opportunity to establish a working relationship between the county and lived experience. And that's what I bring, is just a uniqueness. And I would be doing this even if we didn't receive the grant. This is something that is needed. Most of the work that we all do here is voluntary. And so for me, I have great honor in volunteering to improve a system that took 25.5 years for me, just to try to save these other kids from going through the things that I went through. So that's why I co-founded Re-Evolution. That is why I believe wholeheartedly in prevention. And that is really why I enjoy working with all of the community organizations as well as the governmental branches in pursuing not only justice, but equity, equality, and rehabilitation for the youth that all deserve a second chance. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Sorry to interrupt.
No, that was, I mean, that's exactly what we needed to hear. So, yeah.
Context.
And so these were Measure K funds that were given to us by Supervisor Noelia Corso.
Okay, got it.
Okay, so that is the transportation portion of the grant that we received. The next portion of the grant we received was to form a family support group. And so we'll be meeting once a month with families. And the purpose of this is for parents to, one, get together and socialize, ask questions, find out how they can get connected with resources, maybe educate them. Maybe they're not even aware of what's happening with their children, what's happening in the neighborhood. So, so that is the other portion of this grant. And our first parent support group, I have some flyers I'll put at the back of the room, will be on July 5th from 6:30 to 7:30. And we'll meet monthly and we'll have translation services available. And again, this is just, I remember when my daughter was incarcerated and there was no support group, so I started one, and people really appreciated that. Even if it's just to hear you out for the day, like I'm having a really tough day and my child's not listening. Sometimes that goes a long way.
Right.
So, so we're thrilled that we received this grant from Supervisor Noelia Corso. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. If anybody has any questions, please let me know.
Thank you, Johanna. And
So
Oh.
I see that Kate has a question, which is there discussion about liability for youth who are under 18 using these services?
Kate, do you want to come off mute and clarify?
Yeah, this is just something that came up because we've been looking at transportation options at Fly, and just the question of if we are paying for Lyft or Uber rides for youth on behalf of the family, then the question of sort of like, if something happens, if there's, a car accident or something like that with the youth in the car, where that liability falls. And so I just don't know if that's a question you all have talked about, but it's just something that we've been grappling with. So I'm curious.
So just with most anything, like liability is always like the top concern. So the county has a full vetting process for that. So we went through that entire process for vetting that way. We're personally insured, we're insured through the organization, and we also have a rider with the county. So we're thoroughly insured. There'll be, of course, the parents will have to sign a waiver allowing them to participate.
Okay, so essentially the Re-Evolution covers the liability piece if youth are using services. Okay.
Yes.
Cool.
So I just wanted to touch, Re-Evolution already has a rideshare program where we pick up youth. I personally participate in that. It gives me great pleasure driving out to Chowchilla to pick up a kid who has become an adult in prison and be able to take a ride with them for 3 hours to San Francisco to his underserved community and mentor him all the way. So we were already covered with that program, and we have grants with the state that supports the program. And it's a great opportunity. And I would really encourage everybody to get involved in giving a ride to one of these youth and getting to know one of them and being a part of the village, right? Because
Yeah, I'll say, so just to be clear, Fly picks up kids and drives kids all the time. It was not actually about having staff drive youth. It's about having other providers like Uber and Lyft drivers providing rides. That was the point of concern. So like totally agree with you. Those car times are like really important times, and definitely like super value those. But yeah, just like particularly the like outsourcing piece was one of the concerns. So just want to make sure that that was all covered and that we didn't, because I know that I would have folks ask, you know, kind of whose liability are we under? But if it's under yours, that's great. Glad to hear it.
All right, thanks, Kate. I know before there are other questions, I know that our Spanish interpreters needed the first one was added, the second one needed to also be added to the thing. I'm sorry to make you multitask.
No worries.
Was there someone else with their hand up? I thought maybe Chelsea Bonini. I thought so. Saw you raise your hand, but if not, are there any other questions or public comment on the presentation we've seen?
I'm just so impressed and excited that Johanna and Paul have figured out a very practical way to solve problems. And I'm also excited about the parent group, and I would love to be able to attend if invited to, better connect with our parents.
I just want to add, this is Judge Susan Adezzati, that I'm really so pleased what I just heard from Paul and Johanna. This is the nuts and bolts of what we need to help youth with. So I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for doing this. This is the basic nuts and bolts, looking at what the needs are and trying to fulfill that need. So thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. That means a lot.
That means a lot. Thank you.
Well, it's heartfelt, really. This is great work. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I think that's a good note to end this section of the agenda on. So moving on now to section 5 of our agenda. We have some updates from current commission projects. And while Commissioner Rasmussen works on getting the second interpreter in, I'll jump ahead to 5C and give an update on the Reimagined Juvenile Hall Committee. The update is that I think, as noted in the last meeting and the meeting before, we've been trying to schedule a presentation to the Board of Supervisors to mainly, it would be a joint presentation with Chief Keen to talk about some improvements that are being made to the hall that have been discussed in the Reimagined Juvenile Hall Committee meetings, as well as to give our commission an opportunity to talk about our recommendations from our last round of inspections. So really just an opportunity to get in front of the Board of Supervisors at a public meeting and talk about juvenile hall. And that it has been pushed back a couple of times because of other business with the Board of Supervisors. And I think presently, given the hearings the Board of Supervisors are having on budget, it's been pushed back again. So the current date that we are scheduled to be in front of the Board of Supervisors is July 25th. And I was going to be the one to give that presentation, but
entonces iba a dar esa.
What?
Are we good? All right, sorry, I know that was Spanish translation. I was the one scheduled to give that presentation, but I'm going to be out of the country on July 25th, and instead of postponing it again, I'm going to have to seek out another commissioner who can give that presentation. So TBD, will more to come on that. Okay. All right, we'll figure out someone to go to the Board of Supervisors, but I think instead of continually pushing this back because someone's out of town, we need to just make it happen. So
you're not on vacation, right?
I tend to attend those Board of Supervisors meetings voluntarily, so I can make myself.
To be determined, who we can delegate to make that presentation. Hopefully we can keep this on the schedule because it literally has been pushed back about 3 or 4 times. We did, for example, we had times in May scheduled, but I was out of town for my son's graduation and Chief Keen was out of town for his daughter's law school graduation. So instead of doing that again, let's just stick to July 25th, and I will consult with the rest of the commissioners about who can actually give that presentation. Wesley, this is your big opportunity.
We will consult.
We will consult. So that is the update on the Reimagined Juvenile Hall Committee. Maybe we can go in reverse order, Commissioner Rasmussen. What do you think? I think inspections is a good item to follow that up with.
Excuse me, I just wanted to interrupt for a moment because the Spanish interpreter noted that the reason you heard the interference was because the interpreting function ended.
Oh.
So something glitched there.
Okay, let me try and add her again. And she is from Spanish to English, correct?
Yes, Kimberly Larios.
Okay, well, there's 2. We have 2.
It's Kimberly who left the note on chat.
Okay.
I think I wanted to be added though.
Yeah, they did both want to be added, and Kimberly is still here, so I'm not sure. Yeah,
We should both be in same channel is what she's saying.
okay. Okay, fixed. Thank you, I apologize. Usually Commissioner Nori is in charge of these little buttons, so I'm winging it.
Do you need,
Okay, so inspection. So we are moving right along with inspections, although I must say, I think we kind of have come to a halt with education, but I'll let Melissa address that. So hopefully by this time of where we are in the year, the teams have, if you haven't assembled, you've looked through the Google Doc and you've sort of updated your inspection forms, or you're in the process of updating them, and you're looking towards your team to come up with a date that works for the majority of you. Like for the YSC inspection, that's probably a 2-day, 6-hour-a-day deal. But if you are doing camp, maybe that's a 1-day, 4-hour deal. I'm not sure. So it's very team specific. And so if there's anyone, the team leads this year, or I'm leading the YSC, Monroe is leading Canyon Oaks,
Right.
Melissa's leading inspections, and Paul is leading Camp. So if there's anyone who'd like to give an individual update on where your team is at, now would be a great time to do that. I think Melissa's got one for us.
Yes, this has been an exciting week. So Shelley Johnson went on vacation and has decided not to return to being principal of Court and Community Schools. So education has encountered a bit of a setback. We were scheduled to do an inspection next week. So they are going to be hiring a new principal, but they are doing that after they onboard a gentleman named Michael Doherty, who is going to be the new Janae Luttrell. So there will be a new Janae Luttrell, and then that person will be hiring the new school principal. So having the leadership in place is sort of unknown in terms of the window on that. I think that's all I have to say. My other projects that have touch on education are also halted for the moment.
Yeah, Shelley Johnson's departure was quite a surprise to all of us. But she's
Melissa, I just wanted to add to that in Shelley's absence, Jonas Barber.
Thank you. Yeah, Jonas Barber has been, the assistant principal has been communicating very proactively with us. So we really appreciate it. But in terms of finding a time that's going to work and being, my timeline just went like, blah. So that's the update.
All right, we'll leave it
I
at
sent
that.
Johanna an email that went, blah.
How do you spell that?
Chelsea,
We'll make sure that's correctly noted in the minutes.
Okay, good.
trustee Benini's got her hand up.
Oh, does she? Hi, Chelsea, go ahead. Oh, I see physical hand, yes.
Hi, if it's the appropriate time to talk, I just had a question.
Yeah.
If Melissa, would you be able to tell me what you mean by the new Janae Luttrell? Because as you know, Janae has not been employed. Right, so I'm confused. So anyway,
Okay. So when I make that reference, I'm referring to about 2 years ago when there was somebody over the principal, but below the superintendent, the assistant superintendent of curriculum. So the person below Kristen and above Shelley used to be Janae Luttrell. So what I'm suggesting is we've had 3 layers, Nancy, Kristen, Shelley. We're going back to having 4 layers in the cake.
Okay.
So I wasn't actually literally meaning, it wasn't a reference to Janae directly at all. It was just back in the day when there was somebody who did what this new hire, Michael Doherty, is going to be doing.
Okay. Did that information come from Shelley?
No, I haven't talked to Shelley. That came from Jonas.
Okay, thank you for the information.
He's the only one I've communicated with.
Thank you.
Sure.
All right. I will give a quick update that there is no update yet on the Canyon Oaks inspection, but after July 4th, we'll be getting organized and reaching out to Canyon Oaks. Based on prior experience in inspecting Canyon Oaks, I'm sure we'll have enough time to get it done.
I just wanted to make a brief announcement that Judith Holliber did get back to us with our waiver for our youth commissioners. So you'll find that in the inspection folder of the Google Drive with instructions. If you are a youth commissioner under the age of 18, you'll need to have that form filled out and you'll need to submit a copy to probation, which I can help facilitate. And then we'll keep a copy for our records. And that'll be something that we'll do going forward. So every year we'll update those forms to make sure that we cover all the bases there. I think that's about it.
Okay. Then staying in this section and going in reverse order, that brings us back to an update from the Sexual Abuse Prevention Committee.
All right. So Monroe and I had the pleasure of meeting with Peter Cruz and Chief Keen on Thursday, and we had a really nice meeting. We had requested some documents and some policy and procedure guides, so we had a better understanding of how things ran. And after reviewing all of those documents, we had a couple procedural questions. So we went in, we met for about an hour. I thought it was a very productive meeting. It was a very pleasant meeting. And so our next step now will be, we meet once a week, and so we'll be meeting tomorrow morning and as a group, and we'll talk about what was learned at this meeting, and then we'll be preparing an official report, and including it with that report will be some recommendations on some potential policy and procedure additions or changes that we might recommend. And I think that's where we stand on that.
I concur with that update.
Okay.
It was a productive meeting. It was helpful. Helpful as a follow-up to all the documents that probation had already provided us. So I think we've collected a lot of good information. Yeah. Did anyone have any questions about the Sexual Abuse Prevention Committee work? And I have not called for public comment on any of the agenda items yet, although some members of the public have, I'm glad they've jumped in. But if there are any comments from the public about the items that we've discussed just now, you're welcome to make comment.
I received a written public comment. Should I
see
just?
Michelle with her hand up? Again,
Yes.
the buttons on our screen prevent me from seeing the actual hand.
Thank you.
Michelle, go ahead.
Yeah, hi. I was just wondering for the public, is the public allowed to attend the inspections?
No.
No, they're not, because we're talking about facilities where youth are detained. Then those are confidential, and only commissioners participate.
But if the public is interested in seeing the facility, you can call and arrange to have a tour, and they'll just make sure that there are no children around so that you don't run the risk of breaching the confidentiality, but they do tours all the time. So I don't want to say all the time, but I know of half a dozen that have happened so far this year. So if you're interested in doing a tour, it's similar to the county jail. There's some protocol, but you're more than welcome to call up there and try to arrange for that.
Yeah, and of course, as you know, Michelle, and I think others know, but just worth repeating, when the commission does produce our annual inspection reports and approve them, then we do publish them. We do publish them as well, so they're available on the commission's website.
So we'll have a full meeting on them. We'll do presentations. We copy them to everyone. So they'll be part of our agenda packet. And I think you're on our mailing list, so you'll make sure to get a copy of it as well. And we try to be as transparent and as thorough as possible in those inspection reports, because we realize that it really is a window, to the public about what goes on in our facilities. And so we try and be very thorough with that.
I had the same question about the inspections, like, can I participate? Because I read all the previous inspections and I was very curious too. And I've been to the juvenile hall before through other organizations, so I was curious how it is now and I wanted to go, but I got the answer.
Yeah. No, just commissioners participate in those inspections, but yes, we will have lots of information about them coming.
Monroe, I received a public comment by email, and I think it, should I just submit it to the record, or would you want me to read it? When it's more of in the announcement forum, but I did receive a public comment by email.
With regard to?
It was one of our participants who is normally here, Sharon Pfeiffer, who couldn't be here, but she wanted me to make this comment.
About, sorry, is it about inspections or is it about?
No, it's general, just a general comment.
Why don't we are moving on to new business updates and announcements. So why don't you go ahead and read it now, and we'll add it to the record.
Okay. It says, good morning. Unfortunately, I will just be landing as the meeting ends today, but if possible, can we let the commission know of a couple positive things that have happened in the hall? Probation allowed a successful visit with a child under the age of 5. Though this is still in its infancy stage, there is great promise for this program to work. Also, the unit manager has requested some computers for the kids since they are not able to bring laptops to the unit. The progression is there, so I want to give kudos. Thank you, Sharon Pfeiffer.
Thank you, Sharon, for those updates. All right, let's move on to section 6, where we have a few items that are updates, announcements, new business. And then I think we might have a couple of things that are not on the agenda that might be announcements. But first, 6A, Commissioner Swope, we're going to talk about the continuum of care.
Yeah, I put a one-page report of what's been going on in our packet. I was impressed that we had 14 counties represented in our Zoom meeting last week. And they're from all over the state. They're not just the large ones or the small ones. It's quite a spectrum. And at this point, 11 counties have signed on to the letter that we're going to send to OICR. Sonoma County has been really concerned about the continuum of care since it was first proposed, because the whole idea was to get all of the children out of congregate care and into foster homes. And every single county in the state at that time said, we don't have enough foster homes for you to place these children. We need to have some congregate care. But the concern was there has been abuse of children in congregate care facilities. As I can understand it, and from reading what was in the press about it, it was the ones that were quite large that had 40 or more children in them. So the congregate care we had here in San Mateo County were actual houses that had bedrooms that had 2 children in each one. And there were maybe 4 or 6 youth in a home, and it was run like a family. The people who were running it were there all the time, and we inspected them when we had them. And I think they seemed like they were pretty good. The young people seemed okay, and we tried to make sure that there was an opportunity if they had a concern that they could let us know about it. In any case, so what's happened is the group homes have looked at whether they could become STRTP, short-term residential treatment programs. And I think if anybody has seen what Canyon Oaks had to do, their application to be an STRTP was like this. It was ridiculous.
Very thick.
And a number of the homes looked at whether they could become STRTPs. But the requirements in terms of having psychiatrists available, social workers available, doctors available, all that were just too many requirements for it to be economically feasible for a small home to become an STRTP. They even looked at maybe whether they could join together with other group homes. That didn't work. So they've had problems with placing children. Babies and little ones is not usually that much big a problem. But when you get to be 12, 13 and up, and these are young people who have severe trauma, and your usual mom and dad is not equipped to deal with them. And when they have tried to place these children in a home with a mom and dad, it just doesn't work. And so these young people are ending up either homeless or in juvenile hall. And this is not an acceptable situation. So they want to tell OYCR that this all needs to be revisited and that we need to change something. Because we need to take care of children no matter what their needs are. They're our children and we're responsible for them. So how we do that, frankly, I think we're coming full circle. I think we're going to be coming back to small group homes. And I don't think there's anything that is ideal because we don't want to put them in locked facilities. We don't want to put them in juvenile hall. And in any case, I intend to keep up with this and to keep you all informed. At this point, we've signed on to the letter and we'll be sending it to Josh Becker and our other legislators that say, and what they want is for each of these counties to send to their legislators. And hopefully we can get some traction to get some change made at the state level.
I would love to deliver that to our senator.
Also delegate with senator.
Susan, you said that they want to send a letter to OYCR.
No, it's actually, we're supposed to send it to the legislature.
Okay, so
I
to legislators and not OYCR.
Right.
Okay, got it. Right. So the goal of this is to rally support for making some legislative change to the continuum of care.
Yeah, and they're hoping to get more counties to sign on. We know there are 56 counties.
Right.
14 is a pretty good number, but it'd be nice if we got up into the 20s somewhere.
Are any of those 14 any of the like large counties?
Yeah, Orange, Riverside, Sacramento, Santa Clara.
San Diego.
Yeah,
Looks
San
like San
Diego.
Diego's there.
Yeah, Contra Costa, Marin. And-
Right.
And there's some small ones, like,
Yep.
like Santa Cruz and Placer, and Riverside's pretty big,
Yeah. Sacramento.
so.
Okay. Does anyone else have questions or comments?
Yeah, I have a comment on that. One of my neighbors that lives on the other side of the block from me in Eagle Hill, she attempted to adopt a foster kid, but she had a room divided in half so the foster youth would be able to have their own room. It was a room divided in half. But because it wasn't a part of the blueprint of the house, they wouldn't allow her to adopt. So I agree with that, that maybe we have, I don't want to say lower a standard, because they have an awesome family. They would have made an awesome foster family, but because they put that wall there so that the youth could have their privacy, it wasn't a part of the blueprints and they didn't allow her to adopt. So again, I think that certain things have to, we have to be willing to compromise. These are youth that we want to be able to take advantage of all the great things that San Mateo County has to offer, and they're missing out right now, not because of their fault, right? It's just, yeah, I think that we definitely have to do something about that. Right. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Susan. If there aren't any other comments on that item, then we can move on to Commissioner Wilson, who's going to tell us about an oath of confidentiality for commissioners.
Yes, thank you, Monroe. So I have been thinking about this for quite a while, and then somebody in the community addressed me and said, well, what are the confidentiality restrictions on commissioners, et cetera, et cetera. So I wrote up a very long document that Judith Holliber then rewrote to be 2 pages because no one else is interested in the level of minutia that I get excited about. And so I'm putting forward this for your consideration. It's a 2-page document. The first page basically says that Welfare and Institutions Code 827 A10 provides commissioners with access to confidential information, and commissioners are one of a list of, I'll throw it out there, like 30 that can have can be shared confidential information with. We may not get copies of confidential information. We may only visually inspect something that's confidential. And we may only share that information with other people on the same list. Then the other part of the code, another part that I wasn't as familiar with, and I reference it 10, somebody you can read, is that we can only use we can only use the information in keeping with our governmental purpose. So that would be to inquire into the administration of juvenile court law in our county. The reason that I wanted to do this is I think it's important for us to be educated about our responsibility, our privileges and responsibility that goes with that. I also think it's very useful for our stakeholders to understand that we understand the responsibilities that we have. And to ensure its appropriate use of information. So what I did is I took the oath of confidentiality that's used in Napa County, Santa Clara County, and Tulare County. They all use the same oath, and I improved the grammar and made it our oath as well. So that is my suggestion. Concurrently, and this is just an update, today I found out that my request of probation to view case files was successful. So Peter Cruz responded, and that had been a conversation with the assistance of Judith that we had been having for several months. So it's going to get to be practiced.
That was in for the purpose of which project?
Transition project.
Right.
To look at transition plans for youth and rehabilitative plans. So anyway, that was an aside, but it underlines how important it is that that there be clear communication around this issue, and we can start that clear communication with ourselves. So that's the background, and I'd
So
like you to
thank you for
consider
doing
that.
all that work on getting the oath of confidentiality ready. Did you want to make a motion for some action that the commission should take?
I can't because I'm not
Yeah.
I'm not present. So that's why I was beating around the bush.
Or do you want to, thank you for reminding me, do you want to suggest what we should be doing?
Oh, I think it would be wonderful if another
Make a
commissioner
motion.
might make a
Sorry,
motion.
Let Commissioner Wilson, go ahead, Commissioner Wilson.
I'd love to hear if a commissioner would like to make a motion about this matter, perhaps to pass it.
Okay.
I move that we adopt the oath of confidentiality.
And if I could just make a comment?
Yes.
Okay, I think this is extremely helpful. We're gonna be having a lot of new commissioners coming on board. And I know when I came on the commission, I am conscientious, so I looked to see what all the rules were and what I was supposed to do and what I wasn't supposed to do. But I think that this makes it very clear and that Judith has looked it over and it's uniform. And then it leaves no room for misunderstanding or misinterpretation. So thank you for putting this together, Melissa. I certainly appreciate it, and I'm sure future commissioners will as well.
I will second the motion to adopt the oath of confidentiality. And I guess I want to add to it to say we should adopt it, but also we should have all current commissioners sign it. And then, of course, we should use it when we bring new commissioners on and have them sign as well. So
Yeah, and the way I
want to expand.
envision.
Hang on, sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
I want to clarify the motion is we adopt it, but adopt also means that all current commissioners should actually take the oath of confidentiality. Yes. Okay. Sorry, Melissa.
Sure. It would also be my suggestion that when a judge swears in a commissioner, that this be done orally as well with the new commissioner, because I think this is my opinion, so it's very important to use that as a reminder. It's an opportunity to remind everybody in the room that this is an obligation. And I think it's helpful when we talk to stakeholders in elevating their trust in us and doing it in a public way, rather than having confidentiality never be addressed again because we're just signing it and putting it away in a file. I think it's important as a piece of theater to do the ritual. I know Monroe laugh at me, but I have to put my to some purpose.
I'm smiling at your theater background, and I think I agree with you. Like doing it at the time of swearing in would be great. I see Judge Atazadi nodding her head, but I would leave it to her to decide. Does she have to administer it, or she just does the swearing in, and then we as a commission ask them to sign the oath of confidentiality? We can sort that out. Yeah.
I think Melissa's idea is that it should be read so that everybody is reminded of what they have.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Judge Atazadi, did you want to say something?
I'm happy to administer that oath as well. So
Okay.
absolutely, whatever, I defer to the commission on that. So I'm happy to do it.
That would mean a lot. Thank you, Judge.
My
All right,
pleasure.
All right, commissioners, I think we've clarified what the motion is on the floor, that we adopt this oath of confidentiality, that we.
I just had one question.
Oh,
Should
yes.
we say swear or affirm instead of promise, or does it make any difference?
Swear or affirm?
It says, as a member of the San Mateo County Juvenile Justice Commission, promise to keep potentially identifying youth information, blah, blah, blah.
Swear.
I think we should say swear or affirm.
I agree.
Yeah, we're honored. Ed Azadi.
Melissa, are you okay with that change?
Yes.
All right, so the oath the motion is to adopt the oath with that change, that all commissioners, current and future, will take the oath, and that we will read it out and take the oath when we are swearing in new commissioners. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Yes, so we should have
Fantastic.
copies at the next meeting and
Yeah.
take the oath next meeting. though.
Yeah, we can.
Every single, all of us.
Hi, I had my hand up, but
Oh, sorry.
I think it
Karen.
must be blocked.
Because she's on the
You're
record.
in the top left corner of the screen and we always have a problem with that. So.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't want to interrupt, but I
wanna
just
say-
wanted to make
I know
one.
we voted already, but did you want to say something before we voted?
Yeah, no, I'm completely in favor of this. I really, yes, I'm very much in favor of the oath and I like the way it's written. My only comment is that we should make a note to amend our operating policies since we're making this an imperative that each commissioner must sign an oath of confidentiality. So we should just make sure that we insert that into our operating policies as part of being in good standing.
And I should fulfill my promise to Commissioner Wilson to make other changes to the operating policies as well. So I will endeavor to do that in the next month. Okay, great.
And so the rephrasing, because I'm looking at the Google document, the rephrasing that Susan would like to see is I, as a member of the Juvenile Justice Commission, swear and affirm.
Or
to keep-
affirm. If some people cannot swear, so they affirm.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Swear or affirm that I will keep. Yeah.
So strike promise to and insert swear or affirm that I will.
Okay, thank you. Done.
Should we all?
All right, that's a great-
And bring it with us to the next meeting?
We'll sort that out for the next meeting. I think we know what to do. Thank you. All right, great. So let's move on to 6C. Commissioner Rasmussen, I think you wanted to follow up on announcement from the last meeting about doing a retreat or an offsite.
Well, we mentioned it briefly at our last meeting and Commissioner Huber Levy was talking about organizing a training for all of us to participate in. And then I suggested that we may want to incorporate that training with our retreat. So let's say in the morning, we do the training. Commissioner Huber Levy, do you want to give us a refresher on what that training was going to be?
Yeah, it's with the Bureau of State and Community Corrections, just a refresher for those who might have had training on the expectations and best practices for inspections. We have a new field officer and his name is escaping me just this moment.
Craigus Thompson.
Craigus. I always want to say Claudius, and I know that that's not it. Craigus. Yes, and he was going to get back to me with some dates, and I need to chase that. But he was very enthusiastic about having the opportunity to speak with us and do 2 or 3 hours of a training session with some Q&A for us. And again, might be a refresher for some of our commissioners, but a lot of us haven't had any official training, and we are gaining new commissioners this year. So it will just be a chance to bring us all up to the expected standard.
Thank you.
So I will follow up and get some dates to consider, commit to do that.
So I think that last year's retreat was a success. I think it was team building. I think we learned a lot about each other. I think especially because of COVID, a lot of us hadn't met one another, like the new commissioner, I hadn't met many of you. So if we can, it's hard. I know all of us were very busy. So we may want to look at incorporating everything into one day.
Yeah.
And Wesley suggested that we look at a venue that is north of here, maybe potentially, he mentioned Skyline College as an option.
Great idea.
I just want to put that out there. Do we want to have like a consensus of like, as we are coming up on inspections, then before you know it, school's going to be starting. So do we want to look at when we might want to have this retreat? Are we saying, let's have it in July, or let's have it in August, or let's not do it until we don't, November? What's the consensus around what might be a good time? I mean, so then we can.
July.
When did we have it
July,
last year?
We had it last year.
I think it was around July last year,
Yeah, that's
but we
why.
also set that date like several months in advance.
Yeah.
So I think my suggestion would be, we can try for some dates in August and see if
Yeah.
it works.
Okay.
But with summer vacations and whatnot, maybe it'll be hard. That's just a suggestion, but if it bleeds into the fall and we wind up doing it on one Saturday when everybody can get free, then I think that's great.
All right, does that give you some, does that help Commissioner Huber Levy as far as when to ask this gentleman for dates?
Yeah, my impression was that he would be more telling us when he's available. But
You
but I
just
can
tell them that we're
certainly,
very busy and that these are when we're available, you know?
yeah, so I'll see what I can do. I think our offsite was in August last year, because I remember I had visitors at that time and it was in August, but yeah, I can certainly refresh the conversation. And I know that he was looking, he was amenable to considering our inspection schedule and realized that it would be more valuable for us to have this training prior to starting our inspections. So
Yeah.
I'll push for that.
So that would be the beginning of August then.
And if we're in need of someone to help us with team building, there's a community leader who is excellent at team building, RJ. I'm sure that some of us here know him from Half Moon Bay. This is what he does. He is really good at this. And if he cannot meet our schedule, then maybe we can reach out to RJ to help us with this team building event that we want to do. He's really good at this. So someone to think about.
So I just wanted to get the conversation started. So I'm going to then pass it back to Monroe as the chair to schedule that. And then we can work with Commissioner Huber Levy.
Should have done that
Work it
last
out.
month when I wasn't here. You gotta wait until I'm not here.
I wanted to be fair. So, but you're the one that, you know.
That made the magic happen last year.
Yes.
I've already written
Catering and the
I've already written it down on my to-do list.
Okay, thank you so much.
Commissioner Rush. Okay, thank you. Do we have any other, I know that Commissioner Liu has one announcement, so maybe I'll pass it off to you.
Okay, yeah, so as
But
many of you know.
we're now open to other announcements.
Oh,
Yeah,
are
go
there
ahead.
any? Okay.
Please, go ahead.
So as many of you know, in early May, the Youth Commission passed 2 resolutions, one on youth tried as adults, modeled after a resolution that was passed in the JJDPC similarly last year. That was a long time ago. But the Youth Commission finally caught on to it May, so last month. And we also passed a second one about trying to improve youth safety at our juvenile facilities. And so both passed unanimously. We heard testimony from Paul and various other people, but after a few back and forth conversations, we were finally able to get an official copy in a nice County of San Mateo folder with it being signed by the chair and vice chair. And so I was hoping for more copies that I could give out, but unfortunately we just have one of each. So I'm not sure what to do with them just yet. Monroe's taking them. Yes, Monroe is taking them.
You want to read them into the record, Monroe?
I'm gonna let Commissioner Howard do
Okay.
that.
Just, I mean, just so we know.
Why don't you,
Or give the
why don't you take the one on improving youth justice and safety? Yeah.
San Mateo County Youth Commission resolution on improving youth justice and safety. Whereas the United States Department of Justice Office of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention, OJJDP, has 3 national priorities: treat children as children, serve children at home with their communities, and open up opportunities for young people who come into contact with juvenile justice. Whereas the San Mateo County Youth Commission reaffirms and advocates for the national priorities of the OJJDP. Whereas the San Mateo County Youth Commission supports efforts to treat children as children. Whereas the San Mateo County Youth Commission recognizes the negative outcomes of youth arrest and incarceration, including trauma, mental health challenges, and increased criminal behavior and recidivism. Whereas the San Mateo County Youth Commission believes that all decisions in juvenile justice must be informed by science and research, along with evidence-based practices. Be it therefore resolved that the San Mateo County Youth Commission promotes the use of science and research in the adjudication of juveniles. Be it further resolved that the San Mateo County Youth Commission supports the increased availability of evidence-based programs and services that divert young people out of the justice system and keep them in their communities.
Excellent, wonderful work. From the youth of the county.
And I'd say that was really what Chief Keem was talking about at when he joined our meeting a few months ago. So I think this resolution nails it down head on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. All right, did any other commissioners have any announcements?
Well,
Any updates? Yeah.
I turn into a pumpkin as far as being a grand juror on midnight, June 30th. And
Hooray.
which is why I'm taking July off.
Okay.
Okay, good.
Well deserved.
Okay.
Anyway, our first report was released, I think, last Monday or the Monday before, and it was on ADUs. And we had another one released yesterday, which is on school business partnerships in San Mateo County. And I think one of the main things that we found was that all of our schools, all of our school districts have problems getting certified teachers, period, and getting CTE certified. That's I've forgotten what CTE stands for.
Career and technical education.
Certified technical education, right. Getting those certified is even harder. So even fairly large districts are having trouble finding teachers who are certified. And so for us to find them to teach 18 children in juvenile hall seems a stretch.
Right.
I don't know what we do about that, other than maybe we lobby the state to change the certification, because the requirements both for just a teacher to be certified, let alone to be certified to be a CTE instructor, is really rigorous. It's probably more rigorous than it needs to be. And we're not paying teachers well enough for them to make it worth their while to have, because to be a CTE, they have to have had a certain amount of experience working in that field, as well as being a certified teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a lot to ask unless they get recompensed at a reasonable rate. Because if you're a plumber and you're making several $100,000 a year as a plumber, and we want you to go in and be a teacher, and you have to be a full-time teacher, and we're going to pay you $75,000 or $85,000 a year, the chances of you wanting to do that are kind of low.
You're going to pass. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I think we need to look at what kind of changes we can make so that technical education is available to our children. And in some districts, it's just not available as far as we could tell. But it's an interesting report, and there's some wonderful things that are going on in this. Genentech is doing beautiful things with the South San Francisco School District. Oracle, their DTech is really quite amazing. Tide Academy in Menlo Park, and Redwood High, which was really very pleasing to me to see. They're doing construction and also nutrition,
Culinary arts?
Culinary arts, yeah. And they have really excellent facilities there.
Just to clarify, CTE and technical education is the new term for vocational education?
Career and technical education.
Yeah,
Career and technical.
The thing is, a lot of it, like at Tide Academy, they're doing computer science. And I'm listening to NPR last weekend, and they're saying, coming out of school, someone with computer science abilities is hired at $180,000 a year.
Coming out
And
of
with
high
the-
school?
Coming out of college.
Coming out of college, yeah.
And after several years of experience, they may be making $500,000 a year. And that's a CTE, and so.
Right.
Can lift an entire family out of poverty.
Absolutely,
More than that, yeah.
absolutely.
I attended County Office of Education's board meeting last week, and I just wanted to mention that they would like us to be using the phrase career and technical education rather than vocational education. And we, of course, use vocational education because that's how the law is written that we read, but that the County Office of Education feels like vocational education doesn't give it its due, and that it should be called CTE.
Got it. All right, thank you, Susan. Are there any other announcements or updates from commissioners? All right, hearing none, then we will adjourn the joint meeting of the Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention Commission meetings. And we'll take a short break and then we'll convene just a quick meeting of the Juvenile Justice Commission. So thank you everyone for attending this evening, and we will see you next month.
Have a great night. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.